Hey everyone, welcome to another Veg Out video with CCUA. I'm Saxon and I'm going to be doing today's craft with you. Today I'm going to try my hand at a DIY hummingbird feeder. I haven't done this before, so it's also a little bit of an experiment day. But hummingbirds are back in Missouri. I've seen 2 in my yard. And I have some hummingbird feeders, but they can be kind of expensive, and I was doing some research and found lots of different plans online for ways that we can make them ourselves. That'll work just as well, so I'm going to try my hand at that and maybe inspire you to do the same. I'm going to use an old spice jar that I kept around. And it's important, I think, that your jar have holes in the top, or that whatever jar you use, you are able to make holes in the top pretty easily. Another thing is that I did some research on whether or not the red color is important to hummingbirds. You hear different things. And it seems that though we know that hummingbirds do seem to go to feeders that are red and flowers that are red, it is not only the color that attracts them. They do have pieces of their eyes that are more attracted and can read red and yellows and oranges, warmer colors, a little bit better. But they are also attracted to good nectar sources. So in addition to your feeder being red or bright, pretty and attractive to the hummingbird, you also want to make sure you have the right nectar recipe. So I will be showing you what I use today and what I got from some research on the internet, and I feel like it's a good ratio of sugar to water. So let's talk about the other materials you'll need. To make my jar a little more red, I'm going to use some shiny red ribbon. I'm going to glue that on with a hot glue gun. If you are trying this at home, please make sure that you have your parents' permission and your parents' help before you use something like a hot glue gun. I also have some varying sizes of wire. I'm going to use these to make the holder to hang the jar. And then today I'm going to try these pipe cleaners. They'll be like the little perch around the edge, but the pipe cleaners that I have, they're a little bit scratchy, and I don't know if a bird will like to sit on these. So if you have something a little more soft, or a little just maybe even bare wire that's easy to manipulate at home, you might try using this. I have my wire cutters, just in case I need to trim the wire. Again, these are a very valuable but potentially harmful tool if you're not using them right, so please make sure that you know how to use these and you have your parents' help and permission. And some scissors, just if I need to cut the ribbon. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to glue down some of these ribbons here. Now, in the past several years, I've had hummingbird feeders up in my yard, but I have never seen a ruby-throated hummingbird. And this year, the very first hummingbird that I saw was ruby-throated, and I don't really know what makes a difference as to whether or not you get one that is ruby-throated or not. That's when they have a shiny red marking on their throat right here. Not all hummingbirds seem to have that. So I was pretty excited about that this year. And maybe with my little DIY, I can attract some more. Alright, so that was kind of a quick and dirty version. Of course, when you do this at home, you are welcome to make it more pretty. But there's our red color that might be a helpful attractant for our hummingbirds. Then I'm going to make, so on your feeder, you know, your hummingbird has a really long tongue. And they're going to come along and they're going to stick it in this hole, but they need somewhere to sit. So I'm going to do my best to make a spot where they can rest. So I'm not sure how far away they might want to be, but I'm just going to approximate it. Like I said, this is an experiment, and you can always watch and see, and if you make one and you think it's a little too far away, you can make changes on it. I'm just going to twist the pipe cleaner at the top here. And with this feeder, lots of hummingbird feeders have multiple holes, and there's space enough for multiple birds. Sometimes, though, you might have a really territorial bird. Last year I had one that he wanted the whole bird feeder to himself, even though there were like 8 holes. So it's nice to have multiple feeders. This feeder, I think, could only fit one bird at a time. There's just not a ton of room, especially if they're not very into sharing. So I'm just going to make one little foothold here. And now is the moment of truth for making a little holder. From what I saw online, these feeders that you can't really put upside down or you would lose all the nectar out, you kind of want them at a slight angle where you can fill it up and the bird can put their tongue in there. So let's see, my structural abilities will hold up. There's one. I think I'm going to want to hot glue this down to make it really secure. And then I'm going to put a second one down here just to make sure it's extra strong. And this one is way too long. It's a little hard to see that wire, but... And I think, since we're going to want this at an angle, I think I'm going to want this bottom wire to be about the same length in the end, or the same height, I suppose, in the end as this other one. Okay, so that's the idea. Doesn't look very pretty. I'll be curious to see if it's very effective. But if you have, you know, eaves on your porch, or even sometimes people have those big cast iron bird feeders, you could just attach these pieces on there and quietly wait and watch and see what happens. Now I'm going to show you how to make the nectar that I use. I got the recipe from the National Audubon Society. So I feel like that's a pretty quality source. And for this recipe, you will want to use as clean of water as you can. So I'm using filtered water from my house. Tap water is acceptable as far as I know, but the cleaner the water, the more healthy the bird. So it's basically, for every 1 cup of water, you're going to want a 1/4 cup granulated white sugar. If for some reason you want to use a different type of sugar, I would do some research on that. From what I've read, this is the most foolproof recipe you can have. So just mix those in together. Stir them up. This is kind of interesting, something interesting to do with young children, or, you know, older children. I even find it fun. It's interesting to watch how the sugar blends in with the water over time, and how, if you don't have quite enough water and or you have too much sugar, that it won't all blend together, and you might have to add just a tiny bit of water, and then you'll see this moment when it all becomes sugar water. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I don't see any specks in there. Looks pretty well blended. And obviously this all isn't going to fit in here, but I'm going to pour in what I can. And for this one, I think I'll need to fill it all the way to the top. And then maybe measure a bit out. But you can see it's actually coming out right there. So if my feeder is hanging out at this angle outside, I know that the hummingbird can come right up and get a drink right from there. Because this feeder is a top feeder, you'll probably need to watch it and keep it filled up quite a bit more often. I've also read that the food can go bad after a few days, especially if it's really hot and sunny on the feeder. So you do want to change your nectar to completely clean fresh nectar and clean your feeder out every couple of days at least to help keep a happy, healthy food source for your hummingbirds. Well, guys, here it is. It's not the most beautiful thing, but I hope it'll work. And if you decide to make a DIY hummingbird feeder, whether it's out of a spice jar or a mason jar, maybe a plastic bottle, a juice jar, anything like that, we would love to see your creation. So take a picture, post it in the comments, and let us know how it goes. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for a science video. Bye-bye.